Welcome everyone to Final Addict, Film Addicts.
Film Addicts, there you go. Yeah, get it right.
This is Chili,
This is Kent.
and we just watched Psycho 4, so we
4.
reached the end of this series. And at the beginning...
Not counting the reboot. Yeah. Everyone might be like, oh, well, don't forget the reboot, but I don't think we're going to watch the Vince Vaughn one.
We're not going to do the Vince Vaughn one. The Vince Vaughn one is actually just the first film remake, and they kept the same script and everything. They only added one little part. It's not worth it. But this one, the end of the story for Norman Bates, what did you think?
So, I like this one more than the third one. Because we get an origin story. I like the way it's all set up, where there's a radio station, and some people might be displeased because we're not seeing Norman by Anthony Perkins going around killing people. We're seeing a young Norman Bates and kind of how he got his roots. And the whole point of this radio talk show is it's talking about, I'm going to butcher this word, matricide?
Something like that.
Yeah, where it's basically people
Boys
killing
who
their
kill their
moms.
moms.
Yeah, so it was a nice spin on it. It wasn't like the standard formula for the Psycho movies. That's why I wasn't huge on the third one, because I felt like the formula was starting to not pay off for me.
Yeah, the characters you didn't care about. This one has Henry Thomas, who played the kid in E.T. He's like 15 or 16 in this movie. This came out in 1990.
1990, yep.
Right? And so he plays teenage Norman Bates, and it really shows the relationship between him and his mother and his controlling mother, and they have like a weird, strange relationship, you know.
Yeah, there's tension there. At one point she says, Norman, rub this, I don't know what it was.
It was oil.
Like oil on my legs, and he's getting random boners, because, I mean, he's getting really... He has his own part to play, too. She's weird, he's weird, the whole dynamic's weird, and that explains a lot about why he is the way he is, right?
Yes, and the killing starts and everything, and because she doesn't want to see him with girls, and so girls would come around and, you know, he would have to get rid of them.
Also, she's a total hypocrite,
Yeah,
because she's very conservative, and the fact that she finds some like dirty magazines, and she starts freaking out on him, and he can't have girlfriends and all these other things, but yet she's talking to a guy that is still married, hasn't gone through his divorce yet, so she's sleeping around with a married guy, moving him into the house, going really fast is what it looks like, and all of these things kind of add up to his unwinding.
Yeah, and you know, it kind of shows the trial and errors that he goes through as he's trying to learn how to be a good killer, and whether he's using the swamp or he's using, you know, choking someone, strangling people, or, you know, he's finding his way. So by the time you get to the first movie, because it's like a prequel almost, it's like an ending of the adult Norman story, but then it's also it works as a prequel because it kind of coincides with when you get to see the first movie again. Like, okay, it kind of works.
Yeah,
I like that.
it's a good. There's a nice flow there. Like that's why I enjoyed the second Psycho movie, because I feel like Psycho 1 and Psycho 2, it just went naturally together. If you could totally, I think, skip out Psycho 3. I mean, there's some important pieces of information. If you skipped out Psycho 3 and went straight to Psycho 4,
because of the...
I mean, this is just...
because personal. Of the... But as far... I don't know if you can, because of the twist at the end of the second movie. When the woman from the diner comes in there saying she's the mother and everything, so...
Well, the reporter in Psycho 3 says that lady lied, pretty much. This lady says that...
That's why you can't quit it. You can't cut it out in that sense.
It's just that Psycho 3, the characters, except for the guy who, the dirtbag who ends up getting a temporary job there at the motel, I thought he was an interesting character, but the characters are just easily forgettable. In this one, Norman Bates, throughout these movies, they keep talking about, Norman has rehabilitated, don't mess with Norman, right? And he's still nuts, pretty much. In this movie, he does finally get a redemption. He burns down the house at the very end, and he's having all these hallucinations of his mom and the people he's murdered, and he's panicking because
he's caught in a rock and a hard
Right.
place. He's kind of he's in a relationship with a psychiatrist who was in the psych ward, and Malik got him released, and they lived together, and she tricked him by getting pregnant, and he was just like pissed off about that.
yeah, that should be like a meme or a gif, or just like, she did the worst thing she could ever do. She got pregnant. Like,
Yeah.
apparently she was supposed to be on the pill. He voiced his concerns because there's the whole nature versus nurture argument. He thought there was something wrong with him, like genetically speaking. He didn't want to have kids because of that. He started to unwind because she said, "Hey, I'm pregnant. I want to bring this child into the world. You be a great dad." And he doesn't really believe that he's truly 100% better. Not to mention, he thinks his kid's going to become a monster. So it's a good story, I think.
Yeah, and so it's sort of like, yeah, the redemption scene. You know, it's just, no, I will not join the dark side. You know, it's like
Darth Vader picking up Palpatine,
yeah,
chucking
or
him
it's
down.
like Luke saying like, no, I'm not going to kill him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay, that too.
Yeah, so it's just like,
Had to throw a Star Wars example in
yeah,
there.
I had to throw it in there, and so it worked. And I kind of wanted him just to like kill himself and just like let the whole place burn with him. That would have been cool.
It starts with him and ends with him.
Yeah, kind of thing.
That'd
And
be
you know,
fair.
she could keep the baby by herself, and you know, and then the baby could just grow up and like be all wicked or whatever. You know what I mean?
Psycho 2020.
Yeah. but it kind of ended to the fact that, you know, he kind of had a moment, and she kind of like talked him out of it, and everything was all good.
So with that being said, this is gonna be how I'm gonna rank it. I'm gonna go Psycho 1 first because of, I mean, it was Alfred Hitchcock, all the story, all the stories that it inspired, everything with it, and the twist that comes with that. And the first, second, and fourth movie, I think, all have pretty good endings. They're solid endings. The third one, not so much. As you can tell, where the third one's going to land is going to be the last spot. So it's going to go first, second movie, so Psycho 2. Then it's going to go Psycho 4, and then it's going to go Psycho 3. So Psycho 3 is my last one. That's the dead last. With 2 out of 5 stabs.
I gave this one 3 stabs. I liked it more than this, the third one, of course. But if I have to rank them in order, I would put, yes, the third one last. Psycho 1.
Oh, sorry. This one's 3 out of 5 stabs. I'm getting my cycles mixed up. This one's this one is 3, or you know what? I'm gonna change it again. 2.5. It's better than Psycho 3.
Okay, yeah. Psycho 3 was 2 stabs. But I like this one. I thought it was paced better. I thought it was just, you know, more than Psycho 2. I like the fact that Psycho 2 does run together, like you say, with Psycho 1.
Mm-hmm.
It has the same characters from Psycho 1. Then when you see Psycho 3, they added some characters from Psycho 2 on it, like the people at the diner. But it wasn't, those people weren't in that
They
film.
were unnecessary
Yeah.
to begin with, in my opinion.
But they were just still trying to keep the vibe going, like, hey, this is a Psycho movie. Oh, it's good to have these other people around.
The
But
score, we already agreed. They kept it simple, and it stayed amazing throughout all the Psycho movies.
yeah, but I'm gonna take 1, and then 4, then 2, then 3. I like how they just brought everything in. How they introduced the hole he peeps through, and everything, and you know, the taxidermy stuff, his background, his origin. It's just like a lot of it is there, and it kind of like, you know, ties out all the loose ends about of everything you see in the first film.
Yeah, I feel content with this as the ending. I have closure with the Psycho movies.
Well, just like in you know, like when Rob Zombie's Halloween, like you see how they got the mask.
Okay, well,
right.
Well,
So in this film, you see how he got the you know the.
yeah, well, that's like a whole nother story.
Yeah,
Rob Zombie.
but you know what I mean. But
I'm way more on the John Carpenter side than the Rob Zombie side, because I feel like the whole thing with demons and the way he was, just like he was inherent evil.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like how they brought in the mask in the Rob Zombie one. Like, oh shit, you know, the kids were making out, and then he's out there. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And so in this film, they kind of you see how he got the, you know, the wig.
Yeah, it's nice to get those explanations.
Yeah, it's just like he took it from the body when she was, you know, in the coffin and everything. And so those things, little things like that, you know, just kind of like, okay, that's cool. So that's our, we're going to wrap it up with that. So Psycho 4, you know, I thought it was good. You know,
it was pretty good.
Pretty good. So like, share, you know, comment below. What do you think? What, you know,
subscribe,
rank them. You know, if you haven't seen these 4 movies, check them all out. They're pretty good, except the 5th one.
You know, Halloween's coming up.
Halloween.
do 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 do.